I'm Michael Montgomery from the Culinary School of the Rockies in Boulder, Colorado, coming to you today to make some pasta. Such a versatile thing to get comfortable with making it in your home kitchens, and so simple. What you'll need is basically flour. If you're going to make an egg pasta, eggs, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, your dough is ready to go. You need to give yourself some time. It's quite a process. But there's nothing too complex. And then of course you'll need some type of machine to roll out your pasta, and we'll go through that a little bit later on. But first I want to cover actually making the pasta dough with you. We are doing a pasta dough today using all-purpose flour. Your options with pasta doughs vary as far as the flour you can use. I like to use all-purpose flour generally for all of my pasta doughs. You can throw in a little bit of semolina, which is durum wheat that is coarsely ground. And that's commonly used in pasta dough. Certainly if you're gonna dry your pasta and make dry pasta, or eggless pastas usually have quite a bit of semolina in them. If you want to experiment with semolina, I would say have all-purpose flour, have your semolina, and just do a mixture and see how much semolina you like. Keeping in mind, semolina is going to give you a tougher or a stronger pasta. So depending on what you want to do with it, maybe it's the flour you should be using. I like to keep it nice and light, certainly because I want to make some ravioli with this dough. So I'm just using all-purpose flour. I've got 2 cups. I threw in about 2 teaspoons of salt. Don't forget your salt. It's really important to flavor that pasta. And we also want to make sure you have salted water at a boil waiting for you so you can cook off your pasta if you are going to be cooking it right after you make it. So I have mixed my flour into my salt, and I'm just using my clean hands for this. And then in this bowl, I have 4 eggs, just breaking them up with a whisk. I've got about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Use a nice olive oil because you're going to taste it in your pasta. So maybe you want to use your special extra virgin olive oils for this. I'm going to whisk these together, and these are my liquid ingredients. What I like to do is make a little well. You could definitely dump this out on your surface, on a cutting board, on your wooden bench, and do the flour well right on the bench. I actually like to use a bowl because the walls of the bowl are going to give me a little bit more support. I'm going to pour all of my liquids right on in at one time, making sure I get it all. And then I'm going to take a fork, and I'm just going to slowly work a little bit of flour into that liquid mixture at a time. So what I'm doing is I'm running right around the liquid, and I'm just pulling in flour as I'm turning my fork around in this bowl. And we're going to do this until the mixture looks what is called shaggy. And that is a very common word used in most bread making, most doughs. Reach a stage where the dough becomes shaggy. It actually kind of looks like shag carpet. If you can remember what shag carpet looks like, you'll know what I'm talking about. So at this point in time, I'm still using my fork. I have it almost all incorporated. The dough is starting to get a little shag to it, and that shagginess is telling me it's time to actually start kneading with my hands. So I'm going to get most of it mixed with the fork, and then I'm going to put the fork down at this point because the dough is looking a little shaggy, and I'm going to get in there with my hands. Before I even do that, I'm going to give my hands a little bit of flour because I know this dough probably is going to require a bit of flour to dry it out, which is absolutely fine. I'd rather start with a dough, and this is generally all bread, pastas. I'd rather start with a dough that's too wet and dry it out with flour than to start with a dough that's too dry and have to incorporate liquid into dry. Once you get it all in one nice mass, I want to make sure I'm not leaving any of that flour behind. I'm going to turn it out on my surface. I've got a clean wooden bench here, and I'm just going to knead it. Just like I'd start any of my bread, kneading with my hands, focusing on using this portion of your hand and keeping your fingertips sort of up and out of the way. All I'm really looking to do in this stage is get this all uniform and smooth. So it's a short kneading process. The pasta machine, or the rolling process, is actually what's going to give us that gluten development that we need in this pasta dough to give us some strength. So when we boil our pasta, it just doesn't fall apart. So like I said, I'm not kneading right now necessarily for strength or gluten development. I'm just needing to get everything nice and uniform. and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to let the dough rest for about a half an hour, and then I'm going to put it through my pasta machine. If you don't have a pasta machine, you can use a rolling pin. It's just going to be a lot of rolling. You can definitely do it though. It will work. So now that my dough is looking nice and smooth, I'm just going to wrap it in some plastic. I'm going to form it all into one disc, wrap it in some plastic. And I'm going to let this dough rest in plastic wrap, sitting at room temperature for about a half an hour. That resting process is going to allow those gluten strands or the protein in the flour to relax. And then it'll be a little bit easier when we go to roll it out in our pasta machine. It's going to rest for a half an hour, and then I'll join you on the pasta machine.